Hey, good night. This is Doc Martin again, and today I want to talk about confidence. Confidence is a term that we usually gravitate to. We usually gravitate towards confident people. Either you'll gravitate toward confident people, or if you feel intimidated by confident people, you'll be pushed away. You'll be repelled by confident people. Um, I think a lot of us don't really know what it means. I mean, it honestly took me a long time, years, for me to find out what confidence really meant. A lot of that had to do with growing up in the church and reading the Bible a lot when I was younger. And the Bible speaks a lot about humility. It speaks about faith, but not too much about confidence. Um, the Bible says that you should esteem each man higher than yourself. And it's kind of hard to be confident when you do that. So it's usually saying, hey, well, oh no, you're so great, you're this, no, you're this, you're up here, and I'm down here. I mean, there's definitely an issue. Um, you have so many people walking around with low self-esteem. You got kids shooting up schools because they got bullied. Um, you have kids getting bullied because they have low self-esteem. You have grown-ups who bully people, maybe not physically, but verbally. It could just be in a conversation, group conversation, and one person might have an opinion, and then somebody else who's a lot more confident, if they see any weakness in that person that's talking, they'll cut them off. And so confidence is important. It was just on my heart to kind of talk about that. So without further ado, let's talk about what confidence is and confidence is not. Confidence, I'm going to give a no bullshit answer of how to be confident. But confidence is knowing who you are and being okay with that. Um, for me, you know, I kind of grew up not really liking sports. Even to this day, I mean, I like sports, but I don't watch sports. I don't see a reason why I should wear another man's name on my back. I don't see why I should be looking at somebody else's stats. And I don't believe in hero worship and whatever because I don't have anybody else rooting me on when I'm doing my business, when I'm trying to start my business or I'm doing business or while I was in med school or college. Drew Brees wasn't looking at my report card, rooting me on for me get my college degree. So I just think it's, I mean, I think sports are cool, but yeah. Anyway, um, so because I wasn't the biggest sports fan, kind of messed with my confidence a little bit when people start talking about sports. When I was younger, I felt maybe I was kind of inadequate because I I had nothing to add to the conversation. People will assume that you are not a true guy if you don't like sports, and that's complete utter bullshit. Um, yeah, I'll play sports, and even if you don't like to play sports, that doesn't. Yeah, that's whatever. Like masculinity is not defined by you handling the ball, football, basketball, swinging a bat, boxing. That's not what being a man or masculine is about. But um, that was an issue I had confidence with. But eventually, I realized that, like I just said, I don't need I'm not gonna wear another man's name on my back except my own. Purposely, if I have a Tommy Hilfiger shirt on, I just have it on. But just to say, hey, look whose name I have on my back. Nah, not happening. Just because you're good at what you do, I'm good at what I do too. If you want to put a Martin on the back of your shirt, that's on you. But I'm not putting your name on my back. I'm not saying I haven't wore a jersey before. That's not true. But yeah, and eventually I got to a point where I knew who I was, and I was okay with being different. And you know, I go hard behind being different and having my own path. And to go back to what confidence is knowing who you are, right? Knowing where you are. And I'm not talking about confidence in a skill. I'm talking about confidence, self-confidence in just being a person, being you. First step in being confident is spending a lot of time alone, because you will never know who you are until you're able to separate yourself from what everybody else is doing. A lot of people think they're confident, but they're not. A lot of people think they're confident, but they always have people around. Um, a lot of dudes are they can do big shit when they're around the boys and stuff like that, but if you catch them by themselves, they don't act the same way. Like if you are just energized and just you just have all this courage, you either liquid courage or courage because you got your friends around. That's not real confidence. You have more confidence in them and what they can do than in you, and that's sad. Confidence is confidence comes from being able to be alone if you need to. Being able to separate yourself. Now it's not a isolation type thing, but you have to spend some time alone. Maybe 2 hours a day. Just take a period of like a month of giving yourself 1 or 2 hours a day by yourself and just kind of figuring out what you like, what's important to you. What do you want to do? How do you want to serve? If you want to do anything, what wakes you up in the morning? What gives you life? Confidence comes from knowledge of self, and you can only get true knowledge of self by being by yourself and separating. And so when they say separation leads to elevation, it's true. Those people that separate are able to elevate more because they know who they are. And once you know who you are, a lot of the bullshit that normal people deal with, you won't be able to deal with it anymore because it's like, listen, I'm good on my own. I'm good without all the rest of this. I don't need these people in my life. I don't need this person in my life. I don't need these obstacles. I can just, based off of me, I can go at it alone and I can meet who I need to meet on the way. And honestly, that's kind of how my life has been. I have friends, and I'm very close to my family. I've lost friends, but I have friends who've been in my life for years. But for the most part, my journey has been a self journey. And you realize that when you get by yourself and get to know who you are, you won't feel the need to prove yourself or make anybody else look lesser than or inferior to you. Like when you're truly confident and you truly go from being unconfident to having true confidence and true knowledge of self, when you see somebody that lacks confidence, the first thing you want to do, instead of preying on them, you want to help them and bring them to this other side of higher frequency and self-love and showing them like, listen, man, or woman, like you don't have to accept all the things you've been accepting. You can actually be who you are, who you truly are. and be unashamed about that. Because lack of confidence is why people commit suicide. Um, Everybody who's contemplated suicide, and I've studied this, everybody who's contemplated suicide has cared about what other people thought about them. If you think about it, if you do something silly or you do something stupid, you fall on your butt, or you know, run into a wall, or you spill food over yourself, spill food over yourself, or anything that you do and you're embarrassed about it, you're only embarrassed because you care about what other people think. And true confidence comes from allowing your opinion to be here and everybody else's opinion to be here. When everybody else's opinion is here and your opinion is here, that leads to low self-esteem. That leads to embarrassment. A lot of people that commit suicide, they feel alone and they don't know how to deal with that. It's like they'll be good as long as their life is going good and people are looking at them a certain way. They're making the right moves, and then something horrible happens or they lose everything and they feel alone. That's when the suicidal thoughts come. It's better that you get to know yourself. And this is a unorthodox message because we're not really taught like this, but I stand by what I say. I don't care what anybody thinks about what I say, as long as it helps somebody. But if you take the time to get to know who you are and be alone and carve out a vision for yourself, a path for your life, and you get to the point where you're good with just being alone, or you just get to the point where you need alone time and you realize that being around everybody is fun, you can do it, it's great, but eventually you start to lose your own identity. When you get to a point where you start finding your own identity and being alone, learn how to be alone, you won't take as much of a hit as when everybody decides to go against you. Because when you become successful, and if you're watching my videos and you pay attention to the things I'm telling you and take it to heart and repeat those things, you will be successful if you want it. When you become successful, there are going to be times in your life when you're going to feel by yourself. And you're going to feel like nobody supports you. And even the people that do support you, you're going to feel like they don't understand what you're going through. And you're going to feel like you're alone. And that's all right. That's all right. Being alone only makes you stronger. But you don't want to get to a point to where you don't let people in because you're so used to being alone. But you just got to know how. It's kind of like GPS. It's better if you know how to read a map. Because what if the GPS breaks? So I know how to read a map. I can read a straight line. I can get to where I need to go without a GPS because I've learned that skill. But I can't remember the last time I used a map. But I know if I need to use a map, if the GPS breaks, I use it. Same with people. If it gets to a point to where you have to be alone and you have to go at your life or dreams alone for a while, it's better to know how to do that now than be surprised later. But you don't have to ostracize people either. You just don't want to be dependent on people for your own self-esteem. So back to what I said, confidence is knowing who you are. Knowing who you are, believing in yourself. Because you can only believe in yourself if you know yourself. And when you get to the point where you learn to be by yourself, you realize you have more capabilities than you've ever imagined. Anyway, those are my thoughts. This is Doc Martin signing out. Good night.